We begin this open bar on a somber note. We are saying goodbye to the possibility of Henry Cavill returning as Superman. After he was told to announce that a new Superman movie was going to be happening, they was going to get Man of Steel 2. The film we'd been waiting like 5 years for was finally going to happen. And then the other day, nope, it's done. He's been retired as Superman. Thank you, James Gunn. Thank you very much for that. Wow.
It just seems like you're not paying enough attention. It seems like have you not noticed how much everyone really, really likes him? I'm just saying, man, it's money on the table. I know that from a business standpoint, a lot of people could be like, well, but people won't understand we're going for the hard reset if he's still there, because they'll be like, how's that work? And it's like, you can make it work. You got the Flash. You can do the multiversal flim flam. You can do whatever you want to get a full reset. You could have kept him. The one thing I'll say is that, like, does this rule out any possibility of him being a part of DC in any stretch of the imagination to being Superman? Because what he said made it sound like he will never don the cape again.
I think if they're talking about doing like a movie or a series of movies with like a younger Superman who's just starting out, because, you know, if there's one thing we need, it's another origin story for Superman. I want that, and I really want to see Bruce Wayne's parents get murdered again. Because
I need to see those pills drop, dude. I gotta see it again.
But if you're talking about doing that, by the time all that's out the way, like, Cavill will be mid to late 40s. He'll just be aged out of the role by that point. This was the time to do it. This was kind of the last shot to get him on board, and they didn't go for it. But yeah, like, I agree with you 100%. You know, the casting for these movies, it's like they picked some of the best actors in the worst movies. You know, Cavill, fantastic Superman. Gal Gadot, excellent Wonder Woman. You know, one movie was halfway decent, the other one was absolute garbage. Jason Momoa, really good Aquaman. You know, even Ben Affleck, pretty good Batman. But they've all been lumbered with shit films, and so the actors themselves seem to be almost tarnished by the reputation of those films, rather than just recognizing, hey, we can do more with these people. We just need to get better scripts. We need to restart this. And it's such a fucking shame, because this is what happens.
You know, it's all going down, which is gradually going to get more and more news. We've already had other pieces of news to imply the idea that Ezra Miller, like, there's no way that's staying, that's going as well. Like, everything, it's all gone. The Shazam stuff, like, they'll release they probably don't want to announce too much before these films come out, because it'll, like, hamper the, I guess, promotion and marketing, right? But as soon as they're done, maybe a month later, they'll be like, right, so that's it. We're moving on. Bye everything. That was an era. That was a different universe. Bye everybody. This ain't happening anymore. Because some people are saying as well, like, make sure to mention, James Gunn did confirm he's not doing an origin story with Superman. It seems like the fact that he's even tweeting means he's got some awareness of what people want, but he must have known this was not going to go over well. That's what I mean. I guess because, you know, they want another Superman that they can bank on, probably, right? One that they can keep for a while. I'm talking like 10 to 20 years, even potentially. Unlocking maybe an unknown.
Yeah, probably a 10-year run would be the ideal, I would imagine. So you're going to want a guy late 20s, early 30s at most.
But yeah, man, I don't know. DC is an absolute disaster. And it's funny because you'd be like, oh, because Marvel's so much better. It's like, well, Marvel... No, that's a disaster too. It's just a different kind.
Well, at least the difference with Marvel is they had probably 3 phases, 10 years, I guess, a good 10 years of being really successful and producing mostly decent movies. DC's never had that. Like, it's just been false start after false start, and like half awkward attempts to try and reboot it or go in a different direction, and then fucking the Snyder Cut comes out, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're going back to the Snyderverse then, and that's been shit canned again. And now, you bring in James Gunn, and he's just like, forget it, everything's getting torched, scorched earth. Let's start back from the beginning again.
I mean,
the Snyder fans are on life support right now, I think.
That's the one good thing to take away, because normally I'd be happy with anything that pisses off Snyderverse fans. Sorry to any Snyderverse fans in the chat, but I hate you. But that's the only justification I can find for it, is that if you're James Gunn and you're coming in and you've got a planned story arc that's going to take you over 10 odd years, what's the easiest way to go about that? Is it to try and pick up all of these disparate, very loose threads that have been created by innumerable directors, some of whom, Zack Snyder, are crap, and others of whom have been jettisoned, like Patty Jenkins? Or is it to simply rip all of that up and go back in time, do a younger Superman, really create from the beginning. And if that's where you're going with it, which I suspect is where James Gunn is going with it, is it even really possible to keep someone like Henry Cavill on as much as he's loved and adored because of all the baggage he'd be bringing in and the weird sort of narrative confusion that would arise from him heading a universe other than the universe he's already headed once?
I think if it was up to me, I would have done a soft reboot. So I would have kind of vaguely acknowledged the things that had happened previously, but just do my best to move on from it and not really mention them again, and just start up a whole new Justice League arc, a whole new Superman trilogy, perhaps. I just try and move forward from there. I just feel like he's too good an actor to go to waste like that. I feel like he could have been utilized. Like there was a way to salvage his Superman and move forward with it. And it would just soft reboot it.
If we're in the world of hypotheticals and we can do whatever we want, it would have been really neat to maybe have one more movie and just have it be... I'm not sure if we'd make it a primarily Superman movie or a Justice League movie, but to round it out and have some kind of Flash-related disastery thing, Paradox, Flashpoint thing, that then brings in the new universe instead of... It gives Henry Cavill one more chance to do the role. But the thing is, of course, you could be like, well, then who are we bringing back in totality for that? It's like, well, we can still probably axe a couple actors. Some people are asking, is Amber Heard still in this universe? Like,
this is the bizarre thing of like, okay, they're doing the next Aquaman movie. She's going to be in it. So we're now living in a fucking universe where Cavill has been axed, but like Amber Heard is still there somehow. She is truly the herd that won't flush. And it's just... It beggars belief that stuff like this.
What's the point now? Because
exactly.
James Gunn's come in. He's made his decision with Henry Cavill. He's not bringing Ben Affleck on as Batman, but he wants Ben Affleck to direct. Gal Gadot has now had Wonder Woman 3 scuppered. So what is the point in anybody going to the cinema and watching Aquaman 2 and The Flash? There is 0 point.
I think that's what Mo was saying, is that they've done everything except announce that they're doing a hard reboot of everything.
I'm imagining...
because they just want to get these movies out and milk whatever money they can out of it to try and offset their losses. And I think, honestly, if they'd been earlier in development, they would have just done a Batgirl on them and shit-canned the whole thing.
The writing's on the wall. We all know the reality. They're probably not going to announce it because it'll hurt these movies in the cinemas, right? Like the realities of Aquaman, The Flash, and Shazam. They're probably going to delay.
I think Ezra Miller's going to hurt The Flash, and I think Amber Heard's going to hurt Aquaman.
You're absolutely right. It's just the the suit. So we're axing all of this, right? And it's like, when do we announce? And it's like, well, we probably should delay the announcement for these things until they get into the cinema, so that the public, because as you just said, a lot of people are asking that question. Why should I go see these films now when I know that you don't care about these stories? Like, they're getting completely removed from canon, or possibly removed from canon. I don't know what the plan is, but
Gunn is lying. This is an origin story. It might not be an origin story of Clark landing and being grown up and then going to Superman, but all they're doing is just simply cutting that bit away. This is an origin story. He said this is the first time he gets to meet Lois Lane. This will be the first time he meets Lex Luthor. The first time he interacts with Perry White. It'll be all of this stuff. That is an origin story. So however he wants to gift wrap it, it's an origin story. And then he said that Patterson is going to stay in his own universe. We know Joker 2's on the way as a musical with Lady Gaga. So now we're going to not just be recasting a new Superman, but a new Batman to go in. So we're going to still have 2 Batmans on the go. And if you're recasting Superman and Batman, you're not going to have Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. So she's going to get recast and there's going to be a Wonder Woman, which means you're not going to have a Jason Momoa as an Aquaman, which means that's going to get recast. And Ezra Miller's not coming back because they've already said he's shit-canned. So there's a new Flash there. So the whole thing has just been an absolute disaster. And this 10-year plan, don't make a 10-year plan. How about you make a good movie?
Good movie, yeah.
How about you do that?
They are legit going to end up making documentaries about all of this period of DC's history on film.
Oh, I've got all the popcorn in the world to watch.
Because honestly, like, if you're some kind of like either an art student or like a an aspiring businessman or a studio head or anything like that. This is like a textbook example of how not to launch a franchise. It's like they have made every possible mistake that a studio can make with something like this. And here we find ourselves. Like they have squandered some of the best characters, the best actors. They have just released disaster after disaster. The few successes that they've had, they haven't been able to capitalize on because they've either been like these weird outliers that are existing in their own universe, like Joker, or you've had like these flash in the pans, like Wonder Woman, that was kind of successful for her first film. You know, it is, as you say, a complete disaster. They couldn't have got it more wrong with this, and yeah, man, I just I feel frustrated for all the people involved in this. I feel frustrated for guys like Henry. I feel so bad for him that he quit The Witcher, probably thinking this was it. Like, I'm doing another Superman film. This is it. I'm finally gonna have my time.
It's
and this
financially strange as well, because you can see a justification if you're, as a lot of studios are going to be now, we've moved out of the era of silly money, very concerned about cash and outlay. You can see some kind of argument for, well, you've got a whole cast of very big name actors at the moment. That's a pretty hefty wage bill. You can cut that out if you're recasting and you're telling a younger story with younger characters, with new up-and-coming younger actors who don't demand the same wages. You can sort of see a financial reason, an incentive there. But then who's going to turn up to watch Superman played by someone no one's ever heard of, compared to Superman played by Henry Cavill?
These have to be really good films.
They really do. They've actually put more weight and emphasis on a good writing team, which is the thing that they've been most conspicuously lacking so far. It could just go really terribly wrong. And then, of course, there's the whole vexed question of recasting anyway. It will be interesting to see who they actually pick in these roles now. But like my usual sort of default response to any female character being recast is Phoebe Waller-Bridge, but I can't really see her as Wonder Woman somehow.
She's gonna have to hit the gym pretty hard. I do wonder as well, like with James Gunn, like, okay, we know that he can deliver individually good movies, and we know he can do TV shows like Peacemaker. But okay, can he like run an entire extended universe? Like, that is a hell of a step up for a guy like him. Like, can he do something like that?
Well, I disagree with you on Peacemaker for a start, because in Peacemaker, all Peacemaker did was actually rip apart legitimate superheroes, and Peacemaker ended up walking away berating Superman and Aquaman and the Flash, and these are your actual heroes. Peacemaker isn't your fucking franchise. Your Batman, your Superman, your Wonder Woman, your Green Lantern, your Flash, they are your franchise. They are your big dogs. And when you're creating these goddamn I'm sick and tired of these nihilistic shows which shit all over the actual characters that paved the way for 80 plus years so that fucking jokes like Peacemaker could come along and get themselves a little bit of a light. And this isn't a John Cena issue. This is just the way the characters are portrayed issue. So you are belittling your money makers while you're pushing these non-entities which will not exist in 10, 15 years time whatsoever, but your Supermans will, and your Batmans will, and your Wonder Womans will. So stop making these shows which are deconstructing the superhero, and start making some shows or some movies that are constructing the superhero, because that's what we're missing. Because I don't want 10 years of, well, I won't be watching it, but I don't want 10 years of deconstructed Superman that's been dragged around by Lois Lane. I don't want 10 years of a deconstructed Batman where Alfred's talking about his fucking privilege to him for all the time. I don't want that. I want optimism. I want I want hope. I want to elevation. I want to be inspired, and I want to come out of that movie thinking, I could do better for myself by looking at these characters as an example. And we're getting none of that now. We're getting The Boys, we're getting Peacemaker, we're getting Deconstruction, we're getting people who are writing the shows that don't even like the source materials, that mock the source materials. And we need people that love the source material. So the very fact that Henry Cavill walked away from The Witcher showed exactly, considering it's a dream job, how much of a farce Lauren Hestrich Hisrich and her fucking gaggle of cronies there are doing. And the fact that he's been passed down now as Superman shows exactly how they don't understand that they have a man in his prime. He may be 39, but he looks 28. And by the time he's 50, he'll probably look 30 bloody 5. That you could still have done so much with that character. That Henry Cavill's problem is he knows too much. He knows more about any of these characters than any of the showrunners that he's had under him, and any of these directors that he's had under him. And the very fact that he knows more about them and can't influence the directors, the showrunners, to actually portray the characters in the true light in which they are meant to be portrayed, shows how we're lost. And James Gunn's great, but he's great at quirky and offbeat. I don't want a quirky and offbeat Superman. I don't want to, let's have some jokesy wokesy. Oh my goodness, lowsy lanesies. Oh my God, sees that's like literationsies. I don't want this sort of humor that he fucking brings into everything. You know, I want Clark Kent to be Clark Kent, and I want Superman to be Superman. I want Bruce Wayne to be Bruce Wayne. I want Batman to be Batman. And we're not getting this, and we haven't had it for so long. And when you pass up, when you kill the golden goose, and there's no bloody golden egg inside of it, I don't know what you're going to do going forward, because I have no idea who right now in Hollywood you would cast as Superman. Bloody Tom Holland, Timothy Chalamet. They're going to get some fucking scrawny ass fucking nobody. Henry's a man. Henry's masculine. Henry exhibits that. And he's got all the qualities that Hollywood hate right now. And that is that, and it's so crazy that they have this person that should be rocking pretty much all franchises right now. People should be clamoring to get hold of this guy. It's to me, I am so fucking done with this bullshit.
If I can, by the way, you can't understate how fucking perfect he is. He's able to pull off multiple accents. He's got like the physique that's perfect. The hairline is still perfect. He's just a handsome ass face. He can grow whatever facial hair you require. He's got interest in the source material for a lot of these roles. He can act. Like, I can't understand. This is like, why would anybody not want to pick this guy up for any role?
We don't deserve Henry. He's just too
it doesn't
good.
make any sense, you know. It's just like he's money. He's right there. He's sitting there.
As people have pointed out to me before, like he has got the same agent as The Rock, and that agent happens to be The Rock's wife. And so the theory is that basically The Rock just gets the pick of every role going, and Henry just kind of has to pick up the scraps. And I don't think that's entirely untrue. There may be an element of truth to that, because how many franchises do you see The Rock in? He's in basically everything. And Henry just kind of gets left by the wayside, and it's such a shame, because like you say, he really is the classic leading man that should be headlining franchises. You know, he's got essentially everything you would look for in an A-list actor, and he's just not getting the opportunities. And the things he does go for, they're shit. Like, they're chronically underused. Like, he gets lumbered with people who don't understand the source material or don't care for it. And you know, he's desperately trying to steer them on the right track, and it leads to conflicts off, you know, behind the scenes. And he ends up having to leave. And it's, man, I just don't know what the solution is for him. I don't know what role he's meant to take on. I mean, I know what role I'd like to see him in, since he's not doing Superman now and he's out The Witcher. It begins with B and ends in Ond, but like I'm sure, you know, like you've said, they'll probably cast some scrawny metrosexual fucking like waif of a man that's supposed to be playing this ultra masculine character now, because he needs to be updated for a modern audience, I guess. And again, Henry will get overlooked. I just...
Well, Barbara
I don't know
Broccoli,
what he's supposed to be doing.
Barbara Broccoli has said herself that the next Bond is going to be more in touch with his emotions.
Yeah, I can't wait for that, because that was definitely what we loved about Daniel Craig's version, the brooding and the pouting.
And I'm just going to let myself get killed.
I want this Bond to cry more than Kevin fucking Smith at a corporatized Disney trash movie.
The next Bond, nothing but fear on that one. Just
oh yeah,